problem if they would have done so. Now, let's get into two games that shape the college football standings. TCU did what they had to do. Georgia took Tennessee and twisted them into a pretzel. Tennessee is still really good, but that was men among boys. And then, yes, LSU. And how about Brian Kelly, how you look at him now, or a lot of people do, compared to what you thought back when he was hired by LSU out of Notre Dame?
Well, his old school, all those players he recruited, affected the CFP as well on Saturday night by blowing out Clemson. But the first thing on Tennessee and Georgia, I told you guys via text, had I known it was going to be a downpour in Athens, I would not have picked Tennessee because they run that offense that is terrified of the weather. And it's not just because you can't throw it around as much. It's because you got to stop and dry off the ball. And you got to do all these things that slow down the rhythm. And they're about go, 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 go. And the rain does nothing but slow you down. So if I had known that, I would have picked Georgia. And my little team of destiny thing wouldn't have mattered because that's just bad. And that, I know the rain wasn't all part of it, but that would have swapped my mind on Alabama and LSU. And we'll talk about this in the top 5 as well. LSU was able to completely do what they do every week, or they have been doing every week since they got in this role. And, Jaden Daniels was really smooth, and they cut down the mistakes. And Alabama just does not look like
they're
Nick
not
Saban
very
is coaching
football
them.
smart. Their football IQ seems to be very much disappointing. I mean, it's got to be shocking for Nick Saban, but then again, he recruited these players. Craig, men among boys, and then your thoughts about LSU and Alabama. Great football game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that if you pass the ball a lot that, weather or whatever can come into play, but Georgia just kicked their ass and made them like it, in my opinion. I mean, there were certain moments where Tennessee had their opportunities to get back in the game, but ultimately, yeah, it was man among boys. It was it was finesse versus just outright power and strength, and I think that Georgia flexed their muscles. And Stetson Bennett obviously had a terrific game. He was the better quarterback. All this talk about Hendon Hooker and the Heisman and all these different things, Georgia had the better quarterback and the better performance on the day. I just thought their defense was salty. They were clearly teed up, had heard all the talk about how great Tennessee's offense was and all that, and they were just jacked up and ready. And look, that's why you went with Georgia, and that was the smart play, was to go ahead and go with Georgia, who was, somehow sort of kind of being almost overlooked a little bit just because people were so high on Tennessee. But, I mean, that's still freaking Georgia, man. That's still the Dogs. That's still your defending national champion, no matter who they've lost to the pros and all that jazz. So, really impressive showing from Kirby Smart. Shouldn't have been all that surprising in the long run of things, but yeah, I mean, whatever was affecting Tennessee, what affected them more than anything was Georgia. And so very impressive win there. And then over on the other side of things, Alabama I thought was going to come out and be much sharper than they'd appeared previously. I thought that they'd kind of get into playoff mode and realize that they had to go and grab this one and would kind of get back to, I guess, whatever it was that we're supposed to expect them to be. And maybe that's just being conditioned over the years. But, we were all fooled into thinking that they are somehow what they have been, because they're clearly not. They don't have the Dogs at the skill spots as nearly as much. I mean, they still got more than most, but not nearly as much as they have had in recent years. And LSU, if there's any team that can go toe-to-toe as far as talent and have a similar mixture, it is the Tigers. And I think that Brian Kelly's done an incredible job. It was one thing to poke fun at him and laugh when he's taking stupid pictures or he's got his dumb accent or whatever, but that never should have made anybody think that he couldn't coach football. The whole fit thing, I get it to an extent, but I mean, ultimately, his job is to sit there and coach football, and there's not many that are better than him at doing that, and he's proven it right now. So he went there and he had the better game plan. He and his staff outcoached Nick Saban, and his staff, his players, outplayed the Tide players. I mean, that was mightily impressive from LSU. Daniels was terrific. He's such a playmaker, and especially saw that there at the end. And I wasn't shocked that LSU won that game, but I was surprised by the fact that they won it how they won it, and the way that it all kind of unfolded. Just very uncharacteristic in some ways of Alabama, but just mightily impressive that Brian Kelly's already got LSU playing at this high of a level. I know Garrett didn't expect them to be here at this point already, and yet, I mean, they're right there in the mix of. I mean, they got the the win over Bama in the SEC West now. So,
Yeah,
like, I
that's
mean,
right.
they're cruising, baby. And, yeah, just very impressive stuff from the Tigers.
They played they played football dumb against Texas. 17 penalties against Texas.
Bama
against Texas. They played, in a lot of ways, the way they allowed 10. Now, again, give quarterback Hooker and all them credit for what they did in the last drive to set themselves up to win it. But they seem like they're dumb. They're not very football smart. And we saw that against LSU. And what a great story for Brian Kelly and also the Tigers, as they now are right in the middle of it.
Okay. I think it's silly that people thought, that Brian Kelly, just because he's a bit of a dork and he's got the comedic timing of your 10th grade chemistry teacher, was not going to be good at coaching football when he's the all-time winningest coach at Notre Dame, a place that actually got harder to win at over the years. So it's impressive what he did there, even though he didn't win a national title. He was in the CFP. He played for, they played for one there. Yeah, the guy's dorky. The guy's not cool. But guess what? Half the coaches in major college. Do you think Dabo Sweeney's cool?
No.
Okay, look at Jim Harbaugh's pleated khakis. You think that guy's cool? No, he's not cool, but they're good at what they do. That stuff is, we make too big a deal of it.
Let me tell you something. My team is terrible, and they're the dumbest of all football IQs, and I bring that up only because of this point. Then we come back with TCU's voice and Brian Estridge. This has been an incredibly fun college football season to watch. The roller coasters, the emotions, the ups and downs of someone who you think is hot and then boom, or someone that you maybe said, oh, they're in trouble, and look where they are now. It's been incredible. One final